Of course, we don't want to look at that. It's much better to believe you could have done it. But you know what that comes with? Guilt, shame, expectations, pain.
We don't even have to go that far back. How many times have you been in a conversation with somebody, left the conversation, went, man, I should have said that. I should have said that.
Or I shouldn't have said that. Why did I say that? Why did I say that?
See, I've never thought that before.
I believe that.
Sometimes life can get so crazy that the swirl in our minds can cause us to lock up. On today's episode of That's a Great Point, we have special guest, my darling wife, Tanya Smart, and we discuss acceptance, overwhelm, and self-care. Every moment we have is fleeting, and if our happiness exists in the future, that's exactly where it will stay, in the future. How do we become more present in this moment right now? We discuss some counterintuitive ways to stop the chaos of overwhelm, and we explore some tools that we can put in our self-care toolkit. As always, if you find our content helpful, please share it with somebody you love. Thanks for playing along. Enjoy. Welcome to That's a Great Point, the attitude adjustment for your soul, where co-hosts Alina Doran, Michelle Albers, and Lee Smart discuss deep topics around a life well lived. Let's start the show. Yeah, what are we talking about today? Besides having a kid with a superhero cape on back behind you.
Well, you threw two things. You threw acceptance and overwhelm my way as suggestions. I'm open to either of those or both.
I wonder, they do kind of go together, don't they?
I mean, I think acceptance can roll into anything you talk about. Literally anything.
Yeah.
Oh, don't everybody speak at once now.
I feel like there's so much pressure to make a decision.
I was formulating a question in my head, which is why I was in pause mode.
I was just feeling I'm very overwhelmed trying to think of which one we should choose.
I think it's both.
Sort of is. So let's start here. What when the word acceptance comes up, what do you think of?
First word association is peace.
Keep going.
Just peace, calm. I think when I can accept something, or when I feel something has been accepted, or I've been accepted, I feel like there is a feeling of calm and peace and I don't know, calm and peace. That's what comes to me.
That's amazing. I think acceptance for me, like it's a beautiful thing, right? To accept and be accepted. If I think about it just from like a friendship perspective or like a human interaction perspective, acceptance is really beautiful. If I think about it from the healing perspective, I think it's often the missing link. I think we don't even realize we haven't accepted stuff, right? Like we haven't accepted the stuff. And that missing link of not having integrated or looked at it to a place where you get to a place of acceptance is one of the biggest boulders that keeps us stuck. It's almost like we have to take that acceptance and carve that boulder into something beautiful so that we can have gratitude and appreciation for it instead of resistance and like, there's all the other emotions, right? Anger, frustration, like, that feeling.
Now, the opposite of acceptance is wanting to be somewhere different than where we are, or wanting to have something different than what we have. And that can go on so many levels. It doesn't necessarily mean material goods. It also can mean to have people like us, to have the respect of our peers, to have, I don't know, even to have health when we don't, to be able to accept that we don't have health whenever it's lacking. It can lead us to a really, really rough place whenever we're not accepting of where we are in the moment. So when I think of acceptance, it has to do with where am I right now and being okay with it, no matter what's here. We can
Well, and
still
I
want more, right? We can still absolutely want more, but then accepting where we are makes it easier to get to more, to have things be different.
and I think acceptance gets complicated in that sometimes we think that has to mean there's also like we like whatever it is that we're accepting, or that we've already forgiven whatever it is we're accepting. Because to having acceptance of something implies that like there was a possibility that you didn't enjoy it or that you might not enjoy it, right? So there's like that. I don't think acceptance has to mean I'm happy about this thing, or I condone said behavior. Like I'm thinking about trauma specifically. I think we can have radical acceptance that it happened to us because we can't change it, but we don't have to like it. And it doesn't necessarily mean we've forgiven anything or like moved all the way through. It just means we acknowledge that there's nothing we can do about the fact that it happened and we accept that it did, but that's it. There's no other extra layers to it.
I love that you said that. I think that's very important to distinguish. Just because you've accepted a situation and you've come to terms with it doesn't mean you have to like it.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean it was okay, you
Mm.
know? If we're talking about situations, I mean, it's different feeling for me if we're talking about people, right? Like to see and be seen and be accepted as you are is a beautiful thing. That's a very, like, I'm not talking about radical acceptance within that. But I just think when we look at our wounds and like as coaches and people who help people, I think the word acceptance can be abrasive and prickly for people working through some shit, you know? But it's also the word that can cause the most pain, or not having it, not having that acceptance, coming to that place of acceptance. It can cause like the most pain, the most stuck.
Mhm.
Maybe not the most pain, but
I think with the age group that I work with most frequently, those, mid-range teenagers, that acceptance comes up in some form or another quite a lot, in various forms. Often it's situational, not
yeah.
necessarily the person, not necessarily with themselves, but this is going on, and coming to terms with how to accept that and move on. Like you said, Michelle, not necessarily say it's okay that this happened or this is happening, but it did happen.
I wonder if because you're with teenagers, right? Like high
Mm,
schoolers.
yeah.
I wonder how often they think about or consider the fact that whatever it is that they're having a hard time accepting, that it's temporary, that it's always temporary, that there will come a day when they will have their own like power or their own like different variables of choices or things. I think because I feel like as a teenager, I maybe didn't know that. And I just assumed everything was permanent. Like, this sucks. This happened to me. And now I'm forever, whatever. And I just wonder how much they consider that it's movable.
Obviously, this is completely anecdotal, but in my experience, it's rare. It's rare for
Yeah.
them. Even when you try and tell them and explain to them, this is but a fleeting part of your life, they still give you that, you're just
Yeah.
saying that. You think you know everything. I mean, some of them will really take it in.
Uh,
Some of them come in knowing, like, I understand this will pass, but it's just bothering me right now, which that's definitely the exception, not the rule. They just don't have that.
Yeah.
that they don't have that brain development yet where they can really understand, without help at least, that this is a moment in time.
You know, I mean, how many of us, I know I did this whenever I was a teenager. I always wanted to not be a teenager. Always wanted to move to that adult so that was so that I can have this and this, so I can go buy my own booze, so I can go finally not be attached to school, so I can get out of school. So it's always this, I want to be somewhere different than where I am. I can't be with where I am. So many times we talk about acceptance. It's like, you are where you are, and that's just where you are, and that's the way it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So you probably ought to accept your situation. That way you can have a good now. Because if your goodness, if your happiness, if your joy and everything always exists in the future, it will always exist in the future. You'll never get there because it's always in the future, because we only live right now. We only live right now in the present.
Well, that opens up a bigger can of worms, I think, just of if you can't reach that acceptance, will you ever be happy in the present? Ooh.
Pretty big question.
I know a lot of highly driven people, and they have a hard time with accepting where they are because they feel like they'll lose that drive. I'm going to lose my motivation. I'm going to lose my hunger. I got to stay hungry. Got to keep pushing forward. And the thought of losing that is enough to keep them stuck in that place of not accepting where they are, because it's a familiar treadmill if they're just driving, moving, but the thought behind it is almost always my happiness lies in the future. Once I just keep driving, once I keep pushing, once I finally get there, then everything's going to be okay. But if we don't accept where we are, we never get to that place. We can cross all the finish lines we want to cross, but it'll never mean anything. Every time we cross it, we just, got to set up a new finish line.
Gosh, I'm thinking when you're talking about driven people, I'm thinking about like the people who also sometimes are like really like control. And it's like, well, I'm going to do it myself because otherwise it takes me twice as long to fix whatever was done. You know, like that kind of a mindset, or just kind of the way we show up in the world sometimes. And I think like the acceptance that, because I think then like I've done this. Then I get mad that I'm in this place where I have to do it all, and then I'm resentful because I have to do it all. But I literally created it, but I don't want to accept that. Like, I didn't create this. Don't tell me I did this. But like I 100% did it, and until I look at that and accept that, and then change my actions going forward to offer some surrender, right? In that, like, I'm not gonna do it all. That there's an invitation, but that's like a tricky shift, and like the acceptance of that is really it can be really challenging. I'm thinking of a very specific conversation I had with someone who's very driven, and in the workplace is kind of wearing all the hats because it doesn't get done if they don't do it, and then like mad about it, and then it's like, well, what if you don't do it? And that's like, and then the story they tell themselves is, well, then I'm a lazy piece of shit and I don't want to be like them. And it's like, well, you got yourself in a little catch-22 there, don't you? You know, like, what are you going to do? There's no way out then. So we have to like look at this in kind of like from all the perspectives. Like, I totally feel what you're saying. I'm that human too. I like to get shit done. I like to get it done well. And also, like, how about I just simmer down a hot second?
Two things. One, that don't you was probably the greatest Minnesotan don't you, I think.
That one caught me too, don't ya?
And number two, I actually just released it last week on overcoming the do-it-yourself trap.
Yeah.
And, you know, I go into the article about how I had to do it all myself because I didn't trust anybody else. I didn't trust anybody else could take care of it, and start to look at why. Took years of playing with this, and I realized it was one specific instance. I went to go climb a fence, 8 foot tall fence. It was locked. I could have went around, but I chose not to. I was less than 10 years old. There's nothing to climb over a fence like that. So I went to go climb over it. And as soon as I did, when I hopped over, my toe caught the top rung and it flipped me over and I landed flat on my back. And all the wind was knocked out of me. I could not breathe. And I had just this huge adrenaline spike. I hopped up, I ran inside the house, and I went to my mom. Couldn't breathe, but tears just rolling out of my face. Couldn't say anything because I had no breath. And she shoved her hand in my face and says, "Not now, I'm busy." And that moment right there was enough to tell me my needs don't matter. I got to take care of me. Nobody else is going to take care of me but me. And that mindset, just many moments exactly like that one led to the only person who can take care of me is me. Carried over into my business, carried over into us building our house out here, getting our property ready. I had to do it all. And it ended up just nearly put me in the grave with that kind of mindset. Because I couldn't accept there was people better out there to handle things than me, specific things, right? I wasn't clear on what my area of expertise needed to be. I thought I had to do it all.
Yeah, I think that's a common result of it happening some kind of way in childhood. I think I don't know because I've never asked all the people that I meet that are like that, but I'm like that. Many of my friends are like that, right? Well, I'm gonna do it because I know I can trust myself to do it. And the thought of me doing it myself versus the pain of someone disappointing me, meaning hurting my heart. I don't mean like not doing it right. I literally mean like hurting my heart, being not showing up for me is too painful. So I'd rather just do it myself. I mean, if you really get into the deep layers of that, for me, that's what that's about. What you just described. It's not about them not doing it right. It's about me not wanting to feel betrayed or neglected or abandoned or not seen or unloved or all that kind of shit, right? It's like super layered.
Well, then we lack the skills to communicate our needs whenever we don't have the opportunity to practice communicating our needs. So if we can't very clearly communicate what it is that we need, we'll never get what we need. So we'll always be let down. So then we continue to not practice communicating what we need.
Yeah, and I think that too is layered because like for me, I have your version of that, but I also have the version of I never explored what I might need because I just tucked into all the boxes of the expectations that I thought how I was supposed to show up.
Mm-hmm.
So for me to even know what I need is like foreign concept. I still struggle with that to this day at times. It's like if you give me a blanket, what do you want to eat? What do you want? Where do you want to go for fun? Like if that's way too big for me. I cannot reel that in. You give me choice A or B, I'll probably have an opinion and probably a pretty strong one. But for me to come out of it, just pluck it out of the universe, I'm just like, I don't know, that's too big. I can't think that broadly. It's too much for me. I haven't practiced that skill. It's like, it's still at 55. It's just not in my being yet. I'm working on it, right? Like I'm looking more and more and considering, but also I feel like I've also at this place in my life where it doesn't take a lot to make me happy. Like I'm good. I don't care that much. For me, it's more about who I'm with and the time we're spending together than it is about what we're actually doing. So I could give a shit. Like if that makes you happy, great. It's not to say I don't give myself joy. I don't mean that, but like I have less attachment to those kind of things. My attachments are way more like I just want the time with people I love. That's all I care about.
Good old decision overload.
Yeah, I can't do it, which we're in Overwhelm now.
I noticed that too.
I do want to circle back to one more piece of acceptance before we shift into Overwhelm, if we're going to, because this is a big one for me, and I'm curious about the two of you, how it shows up. I think it's a little bit of a weird one and might make me sound a little like, I don't know what, some kind of way, but
Oh, this is gonna be good.
Some of the, I just think recent experiences, and recent, I mean, maybe in the last 5 years, I'm just going to put it out there a ways. I've just had experiences where people have surprised me and not in a good way. Like, took a big old dump all over me or in my space or in, just not treated me well. Full acceptance in that, like my part in that. I don't have a problem understanding that I didn't have boundaries or I showed up a certain kind of way or I overgave or all that stuff. Like I'm good with accepting me. I really struggle with accepting the fact that humans are willing to treat others that way. I really have a hard time with that. Like the number of times Dan says to me, Michelle, you have to stop expecting people to show up the same way you do. Like, and I don't mean that from a righteous place. Like I feel like it sounds like that, but I just mean I can't fathom treating people like that, right? Like unkindly or in a way that like steals something from them or like steps on them to raise you up. And I just think I don't get it. And I'm trying real hard to accept that and I do get it. Like that is the world we live in and not everyone shows up the same kind of way. But like that is probably my biggest hang up in acceptance is understanding that people get to be who they are even if it's an asshole.
I find that very relatable too. Though I think people have been surprising me in a not good way since I was very young. It's definitely not the past 5 years.
Oh, it was all the time then. I'm just thinking of very specific things.
I think I struggle with that too. So I had a coworker not too long ago that definitely resonated with me, like having to accepting their actions, even if it didn't directly relate to me, right? Even if it didn't directly affect me, watching them act the way they did in maybe say a selfish manner. Um, there were several times where I had to ask myself, why is this bothering you so much? You know, yeah, they may not be acting ethically, but it's not directly affecting you. Uh, what, why can't you accept that? Why can't you accept that, they're just a shit person?
Yeah, there's a big piece of that, and not everybody has had the grand opportunity to have our experiences, to learn what we've learned. Everybody's had their own experience. Everybody's had the opportunity to learn what they have learned. And we can't hold our ideals, our experiences, our knowing, and we can't hold other people to that standard because they just haven't had the gift of our own experience. And there's going to be something in every person that they know better than we do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember the specific quote. Ralph Waldo Emerson, one of my favorite literary people of all time, he says, every man I meet is in some way my superior, and in that I choose to learn from them. Probably butchered the quote just a little bit, but yeah, that's such a great way to look at things, in that, it just other people haven't had the opportunity to learn what
Yeah,
we've learned.
I
And
understand all that.
yeah, good. Yeah. Well, then good on them to not have to learn things the way I did.
Right? I know. Well, and I think it's not even just from like, I don't necessarily even mean only personal to me. It's like in my space with my people, with my friends, with my family, with my, like to watch how others are willing to treat others, like literally stealing from them time, money, whatever. And you just think, how? But I also have like that higher self me that understands like, oh, you actually never built these skills. You don't even know that that's unkind. You don't, this isn't even done malicious. Like, I'm not saying there aren't those people too. And I always struggle with accepting that because I think I have like this piece of me that secretly hopes that we can live in a utopia. Totally know that's not reality. Completely understand it. And there's just like my big old heart is like tired of being pained and watching pain and I just get into that bubble of I don't want to actually accept this. I feel like if I accept it, that somehow changes me, that it loses my hope of that it could be possible someday, and maybe that's all it is for me. It's just that the idea of accepting it takes away any hope for it shifting into something different. And who am I to hope for that anyway? Like, who am I? What's so special about me? To think that that's
Yeah.
the right way. I think there needs to be pain in the world. Otherwise, we
So
don't evolve.
I have a curiosity around that. I wonder how much in your brain is accepting it means giving permission.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Because it's that radical acceptance piece, right? Like I can accept that it's truth, it happened, but I don't have to like it. I definitely don't like it. I don't like it when people are assholes.
Mhm.
And sometimes you have to be one. It's required to be safe, right? Like I fully acknowledge the whole picture here. That is the hardest piece for me. I just really struggle with people shitting on each other. I just think it's awful.
Yeah.
It is awful. I hear it's also a very specialized kink too. I don't know. I'm not into that.
Yeah, that's not where I was going, but I get it. Yeah. I mean, people can find joy in all their own little things, right? Like that's all
And we have to accept that.
relative. It's all relative. You all get to have your own experience. Yeah. And I also like when I say that, it comes from a pained place, not from a judgy place. Like
Yeah.
I do get it. Like I do, there is a piece of me that accepts and understands that we all get to be who we are. I just think that's a phrase that I have to repeat in my head more often than not when I'm either holding space for someone that I love and care about being just in my brain abused, right? Or for myself when it gets like that, where you just go, oh, damn it. And, I think part of it, like as I'm speaking it out, it's like I get mad at myself for not seeing it soon enough again, right? It's that, oh, I missed it again. I missed it again. Shit.
Well, while I know exactly what you're saying, I feel like I struggle more with the acceptance, the internal acceptance, than I do with the external.
Hmm.
Because I think I am, in some cases, forgiving with the acceptance. But as we said, we don't always have to forgive when it comes to acceptance. But even when it's something that I disagree with, um, I still do find it's easier for me to say, Michelle, I don't like what you did, um, but it is who you are, or whatever the situation may be, vague situation. But when it's internal, when it's something that maybe I'm thinking to myself or about myself or even about somebody else, but it's just my brain waves that are firing off in radical directions. That's, I think, more my struggle, not the external, not the situational, just the internal dialogues.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're talking about those automatic negative thoughts.
To a degree, yeah.
Well, and I wonder, like you were talking about the coworker that did something, right? That you were like, I don't know, or I don't even remember you said coworker. Somebody in your life, in your world, did something where you were like, I don't know, that doesn't really sit right with me. Do you then take that external experience and bring it internal? Well, you said you did because you were like, why is this bothering me? And then, like, do you come to a place where it's a very specific, like, visceral experience and memory for you where you're like, oh, this is about that thing. And I wish I would have shown up differently, like all that kind of woulda, coulda, shoulda stuff? Or, like, where do you
Oh,
go with
I'm not saying that's every time, but I definitely woulda, coulda, shoulda, way more than I shoulda.
it? The irony in that statement is beautiful.
Uh, yeah, I definitely will take it and go, could I have done something differently? Should I have done something differently? Or what did I say? Or what did I say to set this off? Like my imagination is flipping fantastic, sometimes in the worst possible way.
Yeah, and then it's what it feels like, and I might be wrong. I don't know for sure, but it feels like then that internal world gets messy, and then circling back into overwhelm again. I feel like when we start like kind of re-questioning everything or like pondering woulda, coulda, shouldas, that can really quickly get us into a state of overwhelm, almost like that chaotic. I don't even know where to go next now because it's not structured. There's no clarity. There's no support or guidance within it. So we just spiral out in our old patterns, right? And then like, how do we reel that back in so we're not in that blown out state of questioning everything? I guess I go there. I either catastrophize out super far or I question everything, and that's exhausting.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to both of those, the catastrophizing and the questioning, big time. And I guess it's situational, just depends on maybe where I'm at or what in particular happened.
Yeah. How does that work for your brain, Lee? I'm curious.
Oh, it's everybody else's fault. It's never mine. Um,
You don't ruminate.
yeah, the phrase that went through my mind twice now in this conversation, in that to have an opportunity of having a better future, sometimes we have to give up the hope of having a better past.
Hmm.
Just accept things as they've been, because that's exactly what happened, and we may or may not have control. Right. So that's a piece of acceptance, is wrapped up in control, trying to control circumstances that we probably just don't have control over.
Well, I never did. And I think that's a key piece. Like so many of my conversations lately are like about that, right? Like I had this childhood that I'm kind of pissed off about, and I'm mad at myself for not making it different. But then it's like, but how could you have made it different? Could you have? Sure, I believe you could have. Did you have the skills, the resources, the wisdom, the support, the guidance that would have made that possible for you, like actually truly feasible? Probably not. But we spend so much time going back and being mad at ourselves for not like showing up differently. We have these high expectations, and I'm not saying everybody does this, but a lot of my conversations lately are that, and I find myself in that state. I mean, a lot more often deep in the depths of my like looking at stuff that I was mad about. And it was like I was mad at me the whole time and I was blaming everybody else, but it was like unrealistic anger for myself too. It didn't make sense. I mean, it did in my head, but if I look back, it's like, how could I possibly done anything different at 7 years old, at 14 years old? You know what I mean? At like, I did not have those skills. I did not have that confidence. I did not even have that self-love. That's a pretty high expectation. What are you doing, Michelle? But it's really hard to not look back and go, I could have done different because now you're resourced and wise. And you think you could have because you know who you are.
Yeah. How many times have you heard the statement, if I knew then what I know now, everything
Yeah.
would be different?
I think a lot of us internalize that and believe that to be true and believe that it actually like not only could have been true, but actually was. I think we lie to ourselves and tell ourselves we had way more capacity than we did at that time in our life for most wounds. Because I think when we're in trauma, it's pretty hard to get into your wise brain. You're in fight, flight, freeze, fawn, like pick your thing.
Yeah, I think it's really what you said about the 7-year-old self. That really resonated with me a lot because I think there's a lot of times that situations pop up and that does situations pop up, thoughts pop up about maybe what happened in the past. And damn good and well your 7-year-old self, whatever the situation is, could not handle it the way your 27, 37, 47-year-old self would handle it. But you know what you know now. And it's almost hard to go back in that 7-year-old space and go, well, yeah, I could have handled that much better. I know how to diffuse situations, but and absolutely 7-year-olds are not diffusing any kind of situation or, you know, stopping or even making rational decisions whatsoever. But it's hard to realize that and remember it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then do we even really want to remember it? Like, do we really want to go back to our 7-year-old self who was in whatever the pain point it is and actually look? And no, we just want to tell ourselves, oh, we could have done that so much better. We don't actually want to sit with what it really was and who we really were at that time. That's way too icky. Like, we don't want to do that. And like, that's totally human. Of course. Of course, we don't want to look at that. It's much better to believe you could have done it. But you know what that comes with? Guilt, shame, expectations, pain.
We don't even have to go that far back. How many times have you been in a conversation with somebody, left the conversation, went, man, I should have said that. I should have said that.
Or I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
Why did I say that? Why did I say that?
See, I've never thought that before.
I believe that.
For me, it's not usually what I said. I usually can like find the filter and hold it back, but it doesn't matter because my face says it all anyway. So it doesn't. It's like, what's the difference? Like, oh, that was a great. Like you didn't have to say it. It was all right here on your sleeve or all right here in your face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know what that's like at all.
Mm-mm. It's so funny. I'm curious about overwhelm because I don't know who brought it up, but you brought up acceptance and overwhelm together. So I'm curious, like, what do they look like when they show up for you? Like, how does it change your world when it happens? Specifically overwhelm, because I feel like we've talked about acceptance quite a bit.
I think for me, it shows up that my world slows down, but not in a good way. Not in a stop and smell the roses kind of way, but more like oh fuck, I don't even know where to go from here. It's slowed down because like when I'm really deep in it, the overwhelm has what do you it's just like a fight or flight or freeze, and I'm the freeze. Like I can't make a decision, or what, almost like what you were saying earlier. There's no decision to be made. There's a blanket, and just the thought of making a decision is gonna put me almost in a panic. So bad slowdown. That's what comes to mind.
I like the way you said that. I feel like my world slows down, but my brain speeds up and only in self-judgment. There is something about overwhelm for me that like my world slows down and then I get frozen in like I don't know what to do next and then I drip myself in self-judgment because I got shit to do. That's why I'm in overwhelm. What is the problem? It's horrible.
Yeah,
And then it just gets worse.
That's how overwhelm shows up for me in that, oh shit, I'm not okay. I need to be somewhere different than where I am. I really need to get there really bad. And then when you go to start taking action, the action doesn't happen because I'm stuck in that freeze state. It's like, and so it's a complete lockup. And that is overwhelming because I know I need to be moving forward and can't.
So you saying that makes me realize I don't totally freeze. I'm doing a lot of things, but it's nothing that's there's nothing that's actually propelling me. It's like treading water as opposed to, actually doing a breaststroke to get myself forward, any forward momentum. I'm
Good old,
kicking my legs, but I'm not going anywhere.
yeah, good old productination. You know, do you need to be working on that project, but the house is sparkling clean.
Well, and kind of like that. Well, if I hurry up and look busy, then I won't beat myself up. So as long as I'm doing something, it's okay.
Yeah, distracting ourselves from the uncomfortable thing, using the busyness to distract ourselves.
I've been playing with the just like trying to notice when overwhelm happens for me because it happens for me and then I do kind of the freeze thing. Like I know I have a lot of things to do and I just don't know where to start. And then I'll just be like, I just need to pick one and go. Like right, I just have to pick one thing that's actually going to take me, that's on my to-do list that I can't get out of my head. But I'm trying to like really navigate like when and why I get into overwhelm. And it's tricky, but I'm starting to think it's it's like when I uncover something uncomfortable when I'm doing my work. Like when I'm like something starting to bubble up that I know is gonna just kind of take me down for a little while, meaning I have to look at something within me that I'm not really looking forward to. And then like the overwhelm will pop in because my capacity gets low because I start realizing that I'm gonna need capacity. Then I start like depleting myself. It's like this vicious circle that's not helpful. And if I can notice it in time, meaning before I'm all the way down the path of overwhelm, I can like really focus on nurturing myself, which sounds weird because you'd think I would need to do the things on my to-do list, but instead I need to like recharge my battery so that then I can get to that place of clarity and do the things.
Mm-hmm.
And also sit and look at what it is that is creeping around a corner that I don't really want to look at.
Yeah, overwhelm is kind of like getting stuck in the churn and thinking if we churn faster, we're going to solve it.
Yeah.
And Tanya already mentioned what the cure most often for overwhelm is slowing down.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, truthfully, really slowing down.
Not freezing.
No, but an intentional pause is a powerful thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Been practicing the progressive muscle relaxation. Progressive muscle relaxation recently. Even yesterday, came into one of those states where I was having a very, very hard time producing, and I knew I needed to be producing, but I couldn't. I literally could not get my brain to make 1 + 1 = 2. So I chose against every fiber in my being that I'm just going to go chill out and do some progressive muscle relaxation. 20 minutes later, I was more productive than I was in the morning. I took like a little 5-second nap while doing it and boom, popped up and I had got more done yesterday afternoon than I have in a while. So is that intentional slowing down, calming down, letting that tension release. That was one of the biggest pieces of it because I realized whenever I laid down to do the relaxation, how unbelievably tense I was. Good Lord, I was locked up. Didn't even know it.
What a beautiful example of a healthy coping mechanism. Like finding a healthy tool that
It
like
is
supports
so
you.
hard to do because you're like, I need to be productive. I need to be getting stuff done. I can't back off.
Yeah. I think that's such a key piece of knowing thyself, so to speak. Like recognizing that I might have an old way of doing things and realizing that it's not really taking me anywhere and it's certainly not supporting me in what I want to get done, so to speak. If we're doers and we want to get shit done, right? Or just using that as an example. But to then like really listen, oh my God, I'm tense and I didn't realize it. And then find the anecdote to that, a useful one, and then go take 5 minutes to listen to your body. How beautiful.
Yeah, and I think it's crazy how um I would say for me, most of the time, whenever I get into a state of overwhelm, it's because of the brain activity more than anything else. But there's definitely, if I'm not eating right, if I'm abusing caffeine, just putting way too much caffeine in my body, if I'm eating total garbage consistently, I'm more prone to overwhelm. If I'm either under exercising or over exercising, I'm more prone to overwhelm. And it's crazy all the factors that contribute to it.
Yeah. I think that awareness is such a key piece. Like there were so many layers of awareness in that. And I think that's it. Like even me saying like, I don't know what I want. It's too blanket. Like I haven't looked. I've spent a lifetime not looking because I'm showing up in rooms that like as I'm supposed to, right? It's like, but to actually look and have awareness around what do I need in this moment? Mind, body, spirit. What do I need? Like, what does my being need right now? And how have I been treating myself? Because I think at some point it's also reflection to get you to the awareness of what you actually need. Like, how have I been sabotaging myself? How have I been treating myself? How have I been plugging in? Oh shit, I haven't plugged in over a month. Well, no wonder I feel off, you know? It's like, of course.
What do you mean when you say plug in?
I mean, recharge myself, fill my soul, find a way to undeplete myself.
Mhm.
So for me, sometimes that just means I haven't been sleeping well and I need to figure out how to sleep. Sometimes it means I have spent a whole lot of time working and not a lot of time connecting with humans that I love. I'm going to need to spend some time with people. Sometimes it's meditation. Sometimes it's Zentangle, right? It just depends, but it has to be something that is for me and doesn't have any like external like I'm not looking for any external validation or like to get anything done. This is like purely for me. What does my soul need? What makes me smile right now? And sometimes that's as simple as sleep. And other times it's like, I really haven't talked to so and so in a really long time. Or honestly, like this podcast for me is one of my weekly plugins. It is a recharge for me because it's time I love with people I love. And for me, that's my biggest, I said it in the previous podcast, like that's my biggest love language, time with people I care about. That's it, you know, and sometimes that's just me. But I don't intentionally, I shouldn't say this. I do when I'm not really busy with work, but like I'm an entrepreneur. I'm always busy with work and I like to get shit done and work ahead and do all that. So for me to set intentions for myself to connect with other people that isn't work, that's hard. And I know people right now are arguing with me, Michelle, this isn't like time that's not work because you're working right now. No, I'm not. I made it very clear to Lee that this was not work for me. This is fun for me.
If you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yes, you will, because work is hard. But I hear you.
I'm sorry, I
Yeah,
had to say it.
that statement's such a load of shit. But doesn't mean the work has to be drudging.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be drudgery, right? Sometimes it gets freaking hard, and sometimes we have to do things that we don't exactly want to do. But
And
I
if
think
I
the
get
key
to,
piece,
yeah, sorry.
yeah, I think one of the key pieces is if you're spending your life in drudgery, where 5% is enjoyable and 95% sucks. It's a pretty rough place to be in. You start to find work that you love, then maybe you can make it up to 85% doing what you love and 15% drudgery. That's a whole different life.
Yeah. I think being really intentional, you know? And I think if I get depleted too far, usually what I need the most then is people, but I don't realize it and recognize it soon enough and I don't reach out because I don't like myself in those moments. When I get that depleted, I don't like me. So why would anybody else want to spend time with me? I don't want to spend time with anybody because I'm just going to be a jerk, right? I don't. And so I know that about myself and I'm really intentional about not getting to that point because that's a really hard place for me to come out of. I mean, I have a handful of people who know if Michelle gets quiet for too long, check in. Like Michelle quiet occasionally is normal. Michelle quiet for too long probably needs a phone call, you know, and that's good. And it's good that people in my life know that. But I think when we get depleted, it's hard to ask for what we need because we don't have the energy for it.
Or maybe we just don't know what we need.
That too. That's what I mean. We don't even have the energy to know. How can we possibly know what we need? Our battery is on like 0, 0. The phone's not on. It can't even like say, you know, what do you need? Like there's nothing there. Nothing. I'm at like 0.
Maybe it's submerged in water. It's worse
Yeah,
than zero.
maybe. Yeah, put me in a bowl of
Yeah,
rice. See what happens.
exactly. We don't even know if it's going to come back on.
Right? I might be offline for a hot second.
one thing you pointed out that I think is a key to the overwhelm equation is knowing what self-care tactics work for you. Because
In
you
what
listed a bunch
context as well, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
every
yeah.
tool has a context.
Well, and it's if you're so deep, maybe you don't have the energy. Maybe something that you typically enjoy is wonderful, but if you're really deep down the rabbit hole, you may not have the energy for that. Like Lee had asked me at one point about making soap. That's something I enjoy. And at the time he asked me, I was like, I can't even imagine doing that right now. Like that just seems, I love doing it. But at that moment in time when he had asked me, I was like, that seems like a chore. That doesn't seem okay at all. Um,
That's a tricky feeling because many times just doing it can bring us out of that spot, right? Just go exercise, just go kayak down the bayou like we do every once in a while, or go ride bicycles. You'll notice that you're better off afterwards. And that doesn't always work. Sometimes it makes it worse. And that is difficult to weigh those scales, to know when the exercise will make you feel better versus go in there and get after it and you just end up feeling more depleted after. And the pre-spot, the before you go in there, the just do it spot can feel exactly the same.
Yeah, I think that's such a key. Like, what I'm hearing in that too is like, what does it mean to you in that moment? Like, when you were talking about making soap, I'm like, well, yeah, it's just another thing to do. It sounds like a chore, more overwhelm, you know? But that's the meaning you're giving it in the moment. Other times it's like, this is joyful, I love it, it calms me, whatever. And then
yeah.
sometimes the meaning we give all of it when we're in overwhelm is it's all gonna suck because we're in overwhelm and we don't believe any of it's gonna feel good. So it's like, to really, how do you pick which one? I have a friend who was like, I literally went through every single thing that I have in my soul care toolkit, everything, because I was having a day and I just worked through every single thing that I had in that box and was like, one of these is gonna work. And she was
Oh,
like, you know what? It wasn't the one that I thought it was gonna be. It was
yeah.
kind of cool. It was a cool experiment. And I was like, rock on. I love that you did that.
I'll get to it eventually.
I hope we didn't just overwhelm everybody.
I know, that's what I'm feeling. We were talking about overwhelming. Like, doesn't the thought of overcoming overwhelm feel overwhelming in and of itself?
It can. 1 second, guys. Apologies. I was trying to check my connection. It looks like my computer's about to die.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah.
And sometimes the universe gives us a hard stop and says, you're working too hard. Go rest.
I think the universe is overwhelmed with this conversation.
Oh, it's so funny.
So if I black out again, I swear it's nothing personal. It's the universe saying that's enough.
Take a pause.
Ex-
Recharge.
ex-
Battery low.
Accept that this is what's happening.
I love how acceptance and overwhelm are many times rooted in the same thing, wanting things to be different than they are.
Ooh, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, yeah. So many of those things, they just come hand in hand. And I think except when you said acceptance or overwhelm, I'm like, yeah, or both. They feel very much together for me. I don't even know why, other than like when you're in overwhelm, you really don't have a choice but to accept that that's where you are. And you're the only one getting yourself out too. You know, it's like, and I'm not saying you can't lean in and phone a friend and ask for support, but I'm saying like that stuff ticking through your head that's getting you in overwhelm, that's on you.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, they're both related to our expectations being different than our reality.
Yeah.
And when there's a gap between expectations and reality, ooh, that's a miserable place.
And I think you'll never get out of overwhelm either if you don't have that key of acceptance.
Well, you got to mind the gap.
Yeah, and I think those expectations could, I mean, that could lead into like attachments, right? That word as well. But I think those expectations so suck the joy right out of us. I mean, I think it's different to have like goals or like, things to look forward to. But so many times those expectations come with that added layer of guilt or shame or not being good enough or, it's such a messy state. It feels like it's, me expecting the world to show up nice is ridiculous and it steals a lot of my joy. But I also don't want to be the human that spends my life looking for red flags and not trusting a single soul. So there's a delicate like alchemy there that I get to play with and for me it's like I'll risk it. It's worth it. I've had, I would have missed a lot of amazing people, both of you included, had I just been like, nope, don't trust anyone. I'm out. You know. There was a time in life where I did choose that. And it was lonely. I only trusted the people I knew. And honestly, like, why was I trusting them? Because it was the pain I know.
I'm glad you are the way you are.
Thank you. I'm also glad you are the way you are. I'm glad we met. I think it's fascinating. I find myself so often in gratitude of things I said yes to that maybe hindsight I go, gosh, why did I say yes to that? It doesn't really feel like a good fit. There's a lot of reasons why I wouldn't have said yes, but I did anyway, and I don't get it. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, I get it.
Mhm.
I get it. It makes sense. Like this was not me guided. This was guided by divine. And like because there was a purpose to me, like I needed to meet some people and it was important for my soul. And I believe that thoroughly, like without a doubt in my being. I believe that sometimes I say yes to shit that doesn't make sense to me. And it's because of things like this, because of people like you, because it's worth the risk and the effort and the challenge and the whatevers. It's worth all the joy too. I mean, it's not like I'm not saying everything that I choose that has like these good things where I'm like, I don't get it, it felt off, doesn't mean that it was a bad choice.
Mhm.
That in and of itself, there was also good from all the things that I wondered about.
There's a great teaching from Napoleon Hill. It's with every hardship has within it the seed of a equivalent or greater benefit, but that seed won't present itself. We have to look for it.
Yeah. And I think exploration of those seeds,
Mhm.
right, is so important. Like, what does this seed need? Is it even mine to tend to? I don't know. Let's explore that, right? What is the seed going to become? I don't know. Let's explore it. Am I willing to give it a little sunlight, a little water, a little fertilizer, time, effort, energy?
Mhm.
Yeah. Let's see what happens.
Maybe it needs a lot of care. Maybe it needs to be left alone.
Exactly. And maybe it's not even my garden. It's like sometimes you got to leave the garden. It's not yours. Yeah, I love that. I have a phrase that comes into my head often when I'm in like an internal, I don't know if turmoil is the right word, but just kind of when I'm struggling with how I'm showing up or wondering if I'm doing it okay. And it's from, there's a man that owns a singing bowl shop in Thailand. His name is Aman Shahi. And we were in there and he always does demonstrations and plays the bowls for us and sometimes on us and does kind of these little mini healing sessions. And he was talking to us as a group and he looked I asked him a question. I think it was about how to do something because I'm an energy worker, right? I use sound. And so I asked him how to do something and he looked really dead in the eye and he goes, anything done from the heart is correct. And I was just like, well, fuck if that doesn't make it easy. I mean, for real, like his point was just get out of your head and into your heart. Stop thinking about it and just do it. But I was in learning mode, so I was in thinking mode. It was the perfect thing he could have said to me because it's so simple and it is exactly how I want to show up.
That's beautiful.
So, yeah, it's amazing how we try to have the answer before we get started.
Yeah.
Would you just give me the answer so I
Guilty.
can get started?
Yeah, I
Just
know.
hand it to me, please. But
It's like, the phrase FOMO was going around for a while. Maybe it still is. My new favorite phrase is fuck around and find out. Like, just play.
hmm, yeah, I think of that phrase a completely different way.
I know most people do, but I don't. Jessica and I had a conversation about it, and it's totally changed how that means for me. I want to play. I want to fuck around and find out. Not like fuck around and find out. You'll see, you'll get what's coming to you, but like
Mhm.
fuck around and find out.
Yeah. Just get started. Just get moving.
Yeah. Do
Take action.
something. Yeah.
Almost certainly it's going to be uncomfortable action. But then that's the only way to find our answers.
Do you find you have moments in life where you just want it to be comfortable? Like you're sick of the uncomfortable and you have this expectation that like could it just be comfortable for a hot second? I'm
Yep.
tired of the discomfort.
Been going through that quite a bit lately. I'm tired of
Yeah.
being tired. I'm tired of struggling. I'm tired of things not being easy.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, we lost her.
We lost her.
Hmm.
I think those times in my life are when I'm doing the deepest work.
It's no surprise I've been doing the deep ass work here lately.
Yeah. Well, because I think at some point we just want to come up for air.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not avoiding this. I'm not running from it. For once in my life, I'm looking at it. Do you know what I mean? But also, could I just take one quick little pause for a deep breath?
Yep.
Like,
Yeah,
I promise I'm not moving away.
you just spoke out loud what what I've been thinking for a few days now.
Yeah. Yeah, take that deep inhale and let the exhale happen. I had another, I'm trying to think of who said this to me. I feel like it was a healing practitioner. They were like, why grind when you can flow? And I was like, oh, that has a lot of implications for me. But if I take it to the visual of like a river with rapids, it's like, for me, it doesn't imply not doing the work. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but it definitely means I don't have to swim upstream.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's still gonna be hard. I'm still on the roller coaster. I still am gonna have my challenges. And also, I don't have to make it harder than it has to be. Like I can give myself tools and resources that are in my life already. I don't even have to seek new ones. I can use ones that I'm comfortable with and I know and give myself just a reprieve, even if it's just for a hot second.
Mhm. Yeah, when you use the river analogy, I was thinking about grinding to me is taking the boat and pulling it behind you on the shore.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's probably a more descriptive of what grinding actually is. You're back. Look at what happened.
So whenever it finally died, I went under the desk again and I couldn't see that it was unplugged in the first place. Like it was all dark under there. It's like, oh, that explains it.
That's a beautiful visual of the work that we do for ourselves too, right? Sometimes we can't see that we're not plugged in. It's all dark under there and you can't find the plug. It's like,
Hmm.
Found the plug a little too late.
yeah, not
I
too late. It just takes more time.
asked our boy to take care of that.
Oh, well.
You got to inspect what you expect.
Yeah, maybe just don't expect.
Whoa, whoa. Just accept that things are gonna be shit.
Well, I mean, I get that there's like rules and things and boundaries and all of that. Also, know your audience.
All right. Any last words on acceptance and overwhelm before we wrap it up?
No, I think we hit overwhelm to the point of overwhelm, and I think we hit acceptance to the point of the possibility of that. So I think we're good.
Right on.
It was lovely spending time with both of you today.
I always love spending time with you, Michelle.
So good. I get to spend time with you again soon.
Next week.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Me too.
Just me and you.
Yep, that's right. No Lee. No Lee. You're not invited to that party, Lee.
We'll be Lee-less.
We'll be Lee-less.
I accept that things can happen without me.
There you go. Nice work.
It just won't be as good.
Okay.
I hope y'all can accept that.
That's your truth. So I'm not taking your truth as my truth.
All right, then. Love
It's
you.
always
Bye
good
bye.
when you're in the room. Love you. Bye.
Thank you for listening to That's a Great Point with Alina Doran, Michelle Albers, and Lee Smart. To find out more about how we can serve you, check out our links in the show description. Thanks for playing along.